Now I've covered a few games already that I found unremarkable, but very enjoyable. Sure, they had plenty of problems, but there was enough unique features to make them worthwhile experiences. These were games not trying to be anything else but a bit of fun, and you know what? I'm good with that. But Oni is the complete opposite of this. It wants to be a genre-breaking game, incorporating anime, Blade Runner, and various cyberpunk tropes into its design. It wants critical acclaim, and masses of fans demanding a sequel on websites and forums. And it begs, oh how it begs, to be carried around in a Game of the Year trophy. Though I hate to say it to you, Oni, only having one single decent idea does not grant anything else but mediocrity. The premise isn't that bad. Immediately the opening presentation gives off some really promising cyberpunk anime vibes as it introduces you to the main character, Konoko, a real badass of justice working for the TCTF, looking to topple the criminal organization known as the Syndicate. But as the plot unfolds, more questions and doubts crop up, leading to Konoko falling into a web of deception. I'm not going to spoil anything other than the voice acting is pretty damn good for 2000, and there's actually a sense of emotion delivered in the cutscenes. While it sure isn't Deus Ex, it did keep me interested till the end, which I found completely underwhelming. There really isn't anything to talk about in particular about the level template, other than it's a third-person action-adventure game. You press buttons, you fight enemies, rinse and repeat for 14 levels. But the big draw of Oni was its melee combat. Now, Oni would play fine on the PS2, but the PC version works surprisingly well considering the trickiness that plagues most third-person games on the keyboard. This makes it easy to enjoy Oni's fun and flashy hand-to-hand combat. You can kick, punch, crouch and kick, crouch and punch, and do more creative moves like neck snaps. You can roll the way of enemies, allowing some really cool counters. What was pretty different was how blocking was done. And you do that by doing nothing. Yeah, it works quite well for the most part, though it can be hard to judge what attack will or won't break through your defense. You can feel like a real badass as you take out a group of thugs without taking a hit. When combat works, it's a thing of beauty, and it only looks better with the great character animation that looks stunning and holds up quite well. It's just a real shame that was the game's only saving grace, and that it's pretty much ruined by the plethora of crappy and lazy game design choices. For one, this game looks ugly and boring as hell for a 2000 game running on the then new PS2 hardware. Yeah, sure, the textures might not look as pixelated as the PS1, and yeah, they might look a bit smoother, but don't be fooled. They've used a very dull and generic color palette that shows very little actual uniqueness or creativity. You might go from an office complex to a warehouse, to even an airport, but the layout rarely feels different. Machinery are identical across levels, doors all look the same, and the geometry itself is just awful. Right-angled corridors and catwalks without even some sort of handrail, unbelievably simplistic buildings that show no minor or simple details like windows or different colours. Konoko seems to be allergic to heights and ledges, refusing to grab on and taking damage from ridiculously small heights. Now let's take a look at an older game running a much simpler tech. I'm talking about Spyro from 1998. Yeah, it looks older, but let's look back at Oni. Yeah, this game looks like garbage. Oh boy, I do wish Oni just focused on its good hand-to-hand combat instead of throwing guns into the mix. Why? I just ask why? There's a sizable arsenal of weapons, from simple pistols to plasma rifles to more elaborate items like homing rockets and sniper rifles. Now, you can pick these up by usually disarming whoever's using them, and they're fine to use, I suppose, but you burn through ammo way too fast, and resupplying yourself is no easy task. Most of the time, you'll get ammunition from downed enemies and from civilians you've helped, but it's too little because it's so precious you're never sure when it's best to use it. Also, your aiming reticle while shooting sucks to say the least, so long-range combat is out of the question thanks to your jittery aimer. But enemies don't seem to suffer these problems. They have a crap ton of ammo to burn through and have crazy accuracy that you can't even hope to match with. And the more powerful weapons can slice through your health before you can even get close to them, because this game relies too much on the melee system, and that's stuffed up by the overabundance of weapons. So simply put, it all goes to crap. Oh, what's that? You can't quick save? And save points are god awful, some being about 5 to 10 minutes apart? And cutscenes can't be skipped? Well, this game sucks. It pisses me off that Oni really showed some promise and ambition, but was let down by some amateur game design and lazy programming. Overall, I can't recommend it to anyone, even those who enjoy third-person action games. Play Rune or Blade of Darkness. Much better games. Oh yeah, I nearly forgot, the game was made by Bungie.